Manny Navarro from the Miami Herald covers the Heat in Game 2 tonight in Philadelphia. Manny, what kind of adjustments do you anticipate Miami needs to make tonight against Philadelphia?
Well, there's no question they got to get out and defend that three-point line. They can't allow the Sixers to dominate them from downtown, or they're going to have absolutely no shot in this series. And the 18 three-pointers allowed, or the 18 that the Sixers knocked down, were the most the Heat has ever given up on a playoff game, as well as 130 points. So, that's something the Heat takes pride in, their defense, and they were totally embarrassed in that second half, the way that they played.
Now, we know without Joel Embiid, the Sixers have a different style. Do you think that the Sixers match up better with the Heat without Embiid?
You can definitely make that argument, because with Embiid in there, then all of a sudden Hassan Whiteside matters. By going to Ilyasova in the second half, they basically rendered Whiteside meaningless, and he's really the heart and soul of their defense. So much is predicated on him, but the way Ilyasova was able to just get out to the three-point line and sort of take Whiteside out of the paint, and he's so slow moving, getting out there to defend it. The Sixers were able to take advantage of it. So, yeah, I think there's certainly aspects that you could make an argument where not having Embiid can help the Sixers in this series. But certainly they're so much more of a potent, dangerous team with him in there. Either way, I think Miami has their hands full.
Yeah, and the Sixers seemingly can beat you in so many different ways. When they're draining threes like they were Saturday night, every team is going to have trouble beating a team that hits 18 three-pointers. But essentially, do they have the right personnel to match up with a guy like Ben Simmons?
They got James Johnson, who's 6'9", about 250 pounds, and he's a guy who, he's guarded LeBron and done a nice job. The last time LeBron and the Cavaliers were in Miami blew out Cleveland, and he had such a phenomenal defensive game. I thought James Johnson played pretty well in the first half against Ben. Ben, I think, had 5 assists and 5 turnovers at that point. And then Philadelphia just made the adjustments. I don't know what it was. If it was just screen setting, switches, they got the right kind of matchups. And the Heat talked about not putting enough pressure on Ben. While I think most teams are going to sag off of Ben because he's not a three-point threat, I think Miami realized they did it way too much. Ben was able to just see the court easily, find guys as they were cutting to the basket or coming off of screens. And so Miami didn't play a good defensive game in the second half, and you have to give the Sixers credit for figuring out how to change that entire game.
Maybe on the flip side of that, Manny Navarro with us talking about the Heat and the Sixers. Goran Dragic, 15 points, but 4 for 14 for the field. Is that an indication of how he's been trending, or was that an indication of what Robert Covington was able to do against him?
Well, certainly Covington is one of the best defenders in the league, no question, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. But I will caution people, Goran has been battling a sore knee now for the past month. He banged knees about a month ago. I think it was out in L.A. when he was out on the West Coast. And so he's missed a couple games here down the stretch of the regular season. He's tried to give him some time off. He's 31. He'll be 32 soon. And while he's had a great season for the Heat and really been their leader, he's certainly not coming into these playoffs at 100%. And so I've seen him just not move as quickly with the basketball as he's capable of. But that said, you got to give Robert Covington a ton of credit. Goran, I think, was 1 of 7 in the paint. He scores, I think he averages close to 7 points a game in the paint. So the Sixers did their job by not allowing him to get in there and do what he does.
And then James Johnson looked like he was on fire in the first half. Where did he disappear to? What happened to him?
Yeah, that's one of the big mysteries. JJ is a guy who, he's got the body. I told you already, 6'9", almost 250 pounds. And at times, he can remind you a little bit of LeBron, the way he can handle the ball and get to the rim and use his body to get easy buckets. But he only took 2 shots, only played 8 minutes in the second half. And I talked to him about that a little bit the other day, and he basically said, look, the Sixers did a good job on me defensively, and we're trying to get other guys involved to get other guys rolling, and it just didn't happen in the second half. So I don't know if Eric Spoelstra has to have a talk with him and say, look, don't worry so much about trying to set up your teammates. If you've got a good thing going, keep going. It was a shame that JJ didn't keep playing in the second half because he played so well in the first half.
So, Manny, in retrospect, was this the matchup that Miami wanted, or would they have rather matched up with somebody else?
Well, look, we can always sit here and play Monday morning quarterback. The Heat aren't the type of organization that's going to sit there and say, let's lose on purpose so we get the Celtics or we get the Raptors or somebody else. I think, they had a pretty good regular season against this very talented Sixers team. They split both games. I thought all 4 games were pretty exciting finishes. And so they felt pretty good about themselves going into this series. I think, even after the first half, they felt pretty good about where they were. It just had a terrible third quarter and fourth quarter in game 1. And there's still a lot of confidence in this team. They think they can still make this a series, whether Joel is out there or not. So we'll see what happens tonight in game 2. But this is a team, like I said, they're very confident in their defense. I think they realize what their mistakes were, and they're ready to go out there and make adjustments tonight.
Now, it looks like, Eric Spoelstra is challenging Hassan Whiteside to kind of make his presence felt, but that only can happen when he's on the court, right? I mean, Hassan needs Eric to put him in the game.
Right. And, the thing with Hassan, I know a lot of people like to be critical of him. He only took 4 shots in this game. One of them was a tip-in attempt on a miss, and in game 1. And I think the Heat has to try to run a little bit more offense through him, take advantage of the fact that, he's got more weight and more size than anybody on the floor the Sixers are going to put out there. So go out there and play like it. And some of that's on Hassan Whiteside to be more aggressive, to help his teammates out, better screen setting, just putting himself in a position where even if they're not passing him the ball, he can get the offensive rebound. And so that's sort of what they're encouraging him to do in this game. I know the Sixers are going to try to keep, going 100 miles an hour and running up and down the court and finding three-point shooters. But Hassan has to make somewhat of an impact on the offensive end to try to help his teammates out and get the Sixers to play a little bit different defensively tonight.
Manny Navarro covers the Heat. Now, when you're in that locker room Friday night walking around talking to these guys, did they have a look on their face like, what the hell just happened? What just hit us? Or was it just, hey, they shot the lights out tonight and that's going to happen from time to time?
Yeah, I mean, look, these guys have been in the league long enough. This isn't a really young team. There are a lot of guys who have some experience. A lot of them have played in the playoffs a couple of years ago, and they know what it's like to see a team get hot. And I think what happened to them was just, Bellinelli and these guys couldn't miss. It was just a great night of shooting for them. Obviously, some of those shots were open, and the Heat has to do a better job of getting out to those shooters and making them put the ball on the floor a little bit more. But, I think, their confidence isn't gone out the window because of the way Game 1 finished. I think this Heat team still very much feels like they're in this series and that they can win this series.
Manny, because of what happened during the regular season, Dwayne Wade not lacking any confidence. He's had some big clutch games off the bench. Is he expected to go off one of these games, and do the Heat rely on that too much? Are they too dependent on that offensively?
They can be at times. There's certainly been times this season where I felt like everybody else is, all the guys on the team, because of how much respect they've got for Dwayne, they sort of hand him the ball in the fourth quarter and say, okay, you do your thing. I think Dwayne is still capable of taking over in the fourth quarter every now and then, but certainly not on a nightly basis that's going to win you this series. I think it's more of a sprinkle here, a sprinkle there, where he can get you a big bucket or kind of captain this offense when he's out there on the floor sort of as a point guard. So I think there's certainly some value to him, but his teammates need to remember that this is 36-year-old Dwayne Wade and not, 29, 28-year-old Dwayne Wade who was in his prime and could do this and dominate a series. I think they've come to realize that just get enough of him, get enough help from Dwayne, and then do everything else you have to do to get the victory.
Hey, Manny, you saw the Sixers play during the regular season. They split the 4 games 2-2. Does this, though, look like a different Sixers team than the 4 times you saw them? Because they certainly have evolved over the last, month and a half of the season.
Yeah, there's no question. And I think a lot of it is just Ben. I think Ben has taken his game to another level here over the last couple of weeks. And just setting his teammates up. When you got a special talent like that, a guy who's 6'10", that can do the things that he does with the ball, it's intimidating. And so I got to imagine defensively, he's the whole key of this series. If Miami can get a grip on him, they've got a chance. If they don't, and he's able to just rack up 14, 15 assist games and get his when he can, then the Sixers are going to win this series pretty easily.
Manny Navarro covers the Heat, Miami Herald tonight. 8 o'clock, you can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. No Joel Embiid, although he could ring the bell again there, Pete Thompson, with the Phantom of the Opera mask
since
there.
they did that once, they got to go to a different.
Got to go back to him. No, you got to go back to him.
You say go, but see, we think differently. I'd say shake it up.
Hey, Manny, thanks for your time. We'll see you up there tonight, pal.
All right, man. Take care, guys.